Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is Gianluca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid. You work for
Justice is dead. Yes. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. And I'm really sorry to warn the American people that finally, or maybe unfortunately, but we must admit it, it is dead. Justice is dead. The law doesn't exist anymore. At least not for them. Of course, for us, the serfs, the slaves, we must follow every dot. Otherwise, they throw the book at us. Oh my gosh, guys, sorry to be dramatic, but this is very much something that I'm still having a hard time to metabolize it. What we are facing right now, it's the realization that this country, America, it is already been occupied by foreign and special corporate interest. The enemy is already here, and we are already living under tyranny. You can see that, and you already been listening probably and watching the news the last few days. Of course, today is Sunday. The show is being played on Sunday here on 1340 AM, and everybody, or at least almost everybody, I hope, as many as possible, know what's going on regarding Hillary Clinton, the woman, I don't even know if it's a woman at this point anymore, above the law. And seriously, I know many Democrats that they understand it. And I have a lot of respect for people that at least they are starting to speaking up, or they've been speaking up against their own parties. This is coming to a point that it is now on the open. And it doesn't apply just at federal level. This is going down now almost also at every level of government. State, county. The law does not apply anymore to all of us. The definition of tyranny is when you have a selective enforcement of the law. Some people must follow the law. And they will, as I said before, they will throw the book at you if you even break it a little bit. I didn't know about that. Doesn't matter. You go down. But them, well, I don't want to spend too much time about Hillary, exactly what she did, because it's been already on every news. But the point is, all I can try to say to you guys, we're not going to fix this problem unless we admit that we have a problem. And the problem in this country is right now under occupation. The highest ranks, the highest position of office, they've been occupied by traders. And I'm the responsible for these wars. Yes, by traders from both parties. This is not a Democrat issue or Republican issue. They're all working together. So what we go do now, what we start from? We start from the basic. We start from local government, from city government that is so much corruption, to county government. And I'll tell you more today about what's happening in Mojave County, Arizona with these elections. And also in our state, at state level government, we still have hope to bring into office people who are citizens, who are concerned, who understand the Constitution, And we need to do our part. That's why I'm here on this show. As I said, I do not endorse anybody. All I can do is try to give the opportunity to every candidate running for office to get their chance to say what they're talking about, what is their philosophy, what is their, let's say, platform, their beliefs. And then, of course, I gave you my opinion. That's my opinion. That's it. Now, I need the coffee before I start to bring today's guest. By the way, she's a lady. I met her a few years ago, and interesting lady, tell you. And as I said, I'm not going to tell you what you vote for. You will vote for whoever you want. But I tell you, beside the politics, she's a very interesting lady. She's a lady that really, she is an independent woman, and I think she has a lot of charisma, at least as a person, okay? But we will go now into politics. Before I start, I need a break because I'm already stressed out. After I've been witnessing what's going on now in this country, what Obama is preparing for us, this planned destruction of this country, we're almost at the final stages. They are preparing also for martial law. That's a fact. The civil unrest, the civil war, and more important, this racial war, division is being created, fomented, fueled by the White House and these cronies behind. That's what they want. What happened in Dallas is part of the plan. Okay? I mean, seriously, guys, I'm going to talk more during the second hour, but you think that just people that out of the blue, they get a rifle and they get the type of training, the type of accuracy to gun down so many police officers in the middle of a crowd. That was like almost better than many soldiers, okay? And timing, of course, how convenient. That was just during the Clinton investigation of the FBI chief, scumbag, as you want to call him, traitor too, was playing ball with the Clinton. So after all that drama on TV, they had to change news. And today news, of course, the last few days is going to be about Dallas shooting. And of course, it's the guns problem, as Obama said. These guns, they were too powerful. Anyway, let me bring inside the guest. But before we start, I remind you, I need to have a Zanna coffee. This is the only thing now I try to appreciate the small little things of life. Otherwise, I'll lose it. Seriously. And this is my little personal, I don't want to call it tip, but what I learned through this experience when we are so surrounded from much evil, and almost you can lose your mind. I always say, I need to go back into the small things. Sometimes even just appreciate that I'm alive. Appreciate that I still walk with my legs. And I have health, thank God for now, because if it was for Obamacare, I would be dead now. And of course, I can enjoy maybe a good meal, maybe a pasta dish and some coffee and just be happy. Because I tell you, you never know when it's going to be over. So let me finish my little coffee before I start. By the way, if you want to support the show, I'm not going to do like the government forcing you to buy anything, okay? We do not point a gun at your face. This is a private business, and we live and flourish because we pretty much try to offer you something that you like. That's it. Beside the news, of course, my sponsor is myself. If you want to, you can get Zanna Coffee. You go to zannacoffee.com, www.zannacoffee.com. If you're already drinking coffee during the day, buy a bag of coffee, maybe the Straight Shot Espresso, any other coffee. It's all organic coffee, great coffee, and you also support the show. Now, let me shut up. Jennifer Jones, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All
Hi.
right. Hi. Sorry for all this mumbo jumbo at the beginning, but I had something that really is coming from inside me, and I'm really concerned where we are. When I almost think it's an animal instinct. When you know that there is a danger, it's very close. You can almost smell it, and we are very that close. What do you think, Jennifer? Where we are?
I agree with you, and I can feel it. I can sense it myself. We're heading into a very dangerous time, I think, in American history, and I'm very concerned about it myself. As a matter of fact, it's really the reason that I'm running for the State House of Representatives. I don't think that there's been any more important time for the citizen to step up as our founding fathers intended and try and serve and set things right and to protect the state of Arizona from a completely out of control federal government.
Very good.
It's hard to even find the words. What's happening right now is so disturbing.
let me give you a proper introduction because I call you Mrs. Jennifer Jones, but the reason why you're here mostly because you're a candidate for the state house. So let's introduce yourself the right way, like I'm supposed to have done. Go ahead. Who are you, Mrs. Jones? What are you running for?
Okay. I'm Jennifer Jones, and I'm running for one of two seats in the Arizona House of Representatives. There are 4 candidates in the race, and I think that I'm the only one that will get my own vote. I'm running because the other 3 candidates to me are such abysmal choices that I've been able to determine that I won't be voting for any of them. I think I'm also the most qualified candidate in the race. I spent 10 years volunteering as the Executive Director of Legislative Affairs for a National Dog Registry. So all I did was review laws and changes in laws and work with attorneys to determine the proper language or to avoid unintended consequences that badly written laws might have, and work with legislators, work with county boards, work with local municipal governments. But I'm also the first vice chair of the La Paz County Republican Committee. I'm chairman of the La Paz County Donald Trump campaign. I'm a member of the Arizona Federation of Republican Women, the Mojave Republican Forum. I've been politically active, especially more so the last 8 years since I was drug out of a Quartzsite Town Council meeting by some very bad people who didn't like the newspaper I was publishing. I've been publishing an independent, conservative, liberty-minded newspaper called the Desert Freedom Press for about 6 years now, and they didn't like what I was saying, and they spurred me into writing the newspaper. And because of all of it, I suffered 5 false arrests and represented myself in court and beat some very expensive lawyers because I could read and write and understand the law, and I hadn't done anything wrong. And I'm now litigating my own civil rights cases in the Ninth Circuit and the Federal District Court. But I had previously helped a man named Robert Stevens write and prepare his First Amendment case, U.S. versus Robert Stevens, in the United States Supreme Court against Solicitor General at the time, Elena Kagan, and he also won. Wow. So this job is really about legal writing and about protecting people's money, and that's why I'm running, because I can do the job. I think I'm more qualified than anyone else in the job, and I'm what you call a Goldwater Republican. I'm not trying to impose my personal moral values on other people. I'm just trying to protect your rights and look out for your money.
Okay, very good. And I want to be sure that all the other candidates that they're running, they are more than welcome to be on the show. I mean, I also talked via Facebook with candidate Sam Medrano just a few days ago. I invited him to have a debate with you. He refused for now, and I also told him, if you want to be here on your own, that's fine with me. So this is be sure that everybody's welcome here. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or between, seriously. And I'll give you the same time and of course the same questions. That means I'm not going to hear my questions. They're the same. The concern I have are the same. That's the bottom line. I don't have any. I may have personal, let's say, preferences, but the bottom line, when you come here on this show, I treat you all the same. That's for me the most important thing. I want to know according to the values. We're talking about love, guns, and freedom. We are talking about freedom, responsibilities. Who owns our body? Who owns our money? I mean, that's pretty much the values I would like to bring you in. So let's start a little bit. I hope other candidates may want to come. But meanwhile, I would like to ask you some questions. First of all, I remember you in Quartzsite. The first time I came by to that interesting little town was exactly because you made the news and you were all over the news. And the fact that it was found out that there was corrupted police, corrupted mayor, or at least not mayor, part of the city council, and they completely, it was almost like a martial law scenario, and they drag you out. They couldn't let you speak out of the city council. They drag you out and arrest you, if I will remember. Am I right? Did you get arrested for a moment for the situation?
Yes, I was the only person in the council meeting speaking during my properly allotted time and recognized by the mayor, and I was the only one who was not disorderly in the room. Everyone else was yelling and screaming, but I was arrested for disorderly conduct. However, that charge was dismissed.
Yeah, I remember that because I watched the video. I mean, that's something that really disturbed me. and I say motivated me to come down with many other people from Arizona and even other states, and we did a protest, a peaceful protest there. So anyway, that was the situation we met. Now, you're running for office, and let's say the average voters that maybe never heard about you want to know a little bit about where you stand on issues. And I can give you just the
Sure.
topic, and then you, of course, you can articulate a little bit. Let's start from, let's say, revenues, okay? That means tax dollar. I mean, this government seems like always looking for more money, okay? By the end of the day, there is some role of government that, yes, we need to find a way to finance it, but the same way fund it, the same way there is also a lot of waste. How can you, in your philosophy, how can you try to keep this budget under control without raising extra taxes? There are a lot of voices that they're going to apply, especially if you go to the education, seem like it's sucking billions of dollars out of tax dollar. What is your formula, magic formula to try to save our tax dollar?
Well, I think one of the most important things that can be done is to raise these issues with bills in committee. A lot of times legislators never ask, what is the cost of this bill proposal? And I'll give you an example. There was a bill that was recently passed to keep, I think it was illegal immigrants in Arizona jails for a mandatory minimum time before turning them over to the federal government. And nobody asked what that would cost. And actually, it added millions of dollars to the state budget. And it wasn't, if they were found guilty of these crimes, and these are, for serious crimes, it wasn't like the federal government was going to be able to turn them loose. Under the federal provisions, they would have had to have followed specific protocols. But the idea that we should keep them in our jails at our taxpayer expense, nobody bothered to raise that issue, and the bill passed and was signed into law by the governor, and we grew government. And we have, I oppose private prisons here. I think that they're an abomination and crony corporatism, but our governor doesn't. He thinks they're pretty special. So, I can see why everybody would let that slide, because we just created a new commerce for the private prison industry. But bills like that happen all the time. People say, well, there ought to be a law for this. Well, yeah, but what is it going to cost? And first of all, is it even constitutional before we even decide if it's necessary? I think that the proper purpose of government is not to give us things, but to protect our rights and freedoms. And there are certain things that are no longer feasible for the average citizen to do on their own, like, build or repair a highway. So basic infrastructure needs have become sort of an intrinsic purpose of government, and those things really do need to be funded. But I think that rather than having the state control a lot of issues, people say, well, I'm running because I don't want to see the state sweep money from the municipalities, because that would actually mean that your local government would have to raise that money if you want a community park or a big sign that says "Welcome to Bullhead" on the beach. Great. But the closer you are to the people who are redistributing your wealth, the more accountability you have. Mm-hmm. So I would much rather have local government say, hey, do you want to vote for this tax, or do you want a special taxing district, and let the people decide those issues, and try and get rid of as much waste in our state government, and also to try and get us out of any entangling federal programs that require us to spend money that maybe we shouldn't have to spend. I think that, the budget is the most important issue that a legislator deals with.
Yes.
And I guarantee that I will not vote to raise taxes, and I will not vote on any bill I haven't read. The answer will be no until someone can convince me why it shouldn't be no.
Good. Listen, and one thing you mentioned, I think is really, really important, because sometimes I hate when I see people just following the mantra and do not use their brain. For example, one of the things I disagree the most with the Republicans in Arizona is the private prison platform, or at least decision, direction. That means they think that the private prison is justifiable because, after all, we spend less money. The private prison, they're going to build their prison, and then after 20 years or whatever, they're going to give it back to the state. And the fact that there is no union and whatever, they're going to cost less. At the same time, they realize, first of all, I don't think so. But even if it was costing a little bit less, what we're facing here, it's exactly the word corporatism, the union between corporations and the state that exactly was the definition of fascism by Benito Mussolini. And nothing more dangerous of a government who is giving this sort of, let's say, authority, and also it's almost like it's a contract. These prisons must be filled. 90% expectancies, at least in Colorado. And when the state could not provide a 90%, let's say, customers, the state was sued by the private prisons. So this is so dangerous precedent. Now that we have the state of Arizona, mostly Republicans, that they are trying to completely sell us out to these private prison corporations. And then you see, they need to create bills to keep that machine working. Because after all, hey, nothing wrong. I love private business. The private business goal is to provide a service or a product and get a profit. That's the way you are in business. But what we have here, private prison, means the customers. Who are the customers? Well, everybody could be a customer, because they're going to find more and more laws to try to keep that machine busy, that 90% or more expectancy. So let me be sure you understand. You do not believe in the private prison solution for the state of Arizona. Yes or no?
No, I don't. I'm absolutely against it. I think that if we're going to have a judicial system, we need to have accountability. And part of the problem with private prisons is that we're giving them sort of special treatment and special bidding for beds and things that are different than the state-run prisons, and yet because they're private corporations, they don't have the same level of transparency through like open records requests and things where you can find out what's really going on. Let's face it, if there was a cheaper way to run a prison, I think the Department of Corrections would probably find it. So the cheaper way of running a private prison is to make shortcuts, like what happened here in Golden Valley, where alarms weren't working and light bulbs weren't changed, and they were understaffed. And what happened? Bedlam happened. Yeah. Escapes happened. People lost their lives because this private company. And what accountability did they have? They sold out to another private prison company, who brought in a new warden from Oklahoma, where he had just given that company basically an increase in their contract. And under Oklahoma law, that warden was not allowed to work for that company, but he did. He left and came to work for that company here in Arizona. The law seems to be what everybody can get away with these days, and there seems to be very little accountability. So I'm absolutely against private prisons. If Arizona is going to adjudicate them, find them guilty, then Arizona needs to be responsible for what happens after that.
I agree. And this is one of the things really that, I have other candidates, even in the past, that I agree with most of their platforms. But when it comes down to that one, is really a breaker. At least it really breaks my heart. Because people don't understand, not only at the end we spend more, because there is really this cycle, this vicious cycle to create more legislations to keep people in jail for even the smallest things. I mean, 50 years ago, we didn't have the jail population that we have right now in America. This is the all world combined doesn't have all the people in jail that, all the world combined jail population don't even have, we can match our population that we have in jail. So there is something very disturbing. This private corporation, they are taking over, they're controlling our government with, of course, we're talking about lobbies. I'm talking about straight money into their pocket. And in Phoenix, there is so much corruption. I really believe that. And of course, I'm responsible behind these wars. I had in the past, other candidates, or at least other politicians already in the Senate from other districts, that they are completely behind and they are supportive of these corporations, and they cannot wait enough to give them some also bonuses, seriously. So anyway, move from that, but I hope really we can make a change, because this state would be much better off if we can go back to the essential functions of government. And one of the things is supposed to be to keep the judicial system as a public thing, not as a private corporation. For the rest, I'm all for private. Now, talking about, how we can also try to, let's say, reduce our tax burden. In the state of Nevada, as you know, there are different other ways to implement, let's say, the tax revenues. And one thing I really hate the most is the idea of income tax, because I think, first of all, we never really had it in our constitution. And before 1913, this country didn't have income tax. And I think we could go back to that, especially state level, like, for example, in Florida or Nevada. In Nevada, they have, for example, the gambling industry. What do you think about the gambling industry? Why we are not allowed to have the right to use our own money the way we like it? And some, let's say, elected person down in Phoenix, he or she wants to act like our little daddy or little mommy and tell us this is not a moral thing to do, or maybe, no, I need to take care of you and I'm not going to let you spend your money at the casino. That, by the way, it's an hypocrisy, because all I have to do is go into some Indian casino, or I can go to Laughlin, cross the border. So what is your position about gambling and giving the opportunity to the state to also benefit out of these revenues?
Well, I'm going to use the legal term. It's arbitrary and capricious, because if you think about it, we already have legal gambling. You can go buy a lottery ticket. I mean, heck, the worst legal gambling that we could possibly have is the stock market.
Yeah.
And anybody can gamble their money away in that. Mm-hmm. But God forbids a couple of little old ladies playing a card game exceed some minimum amount of pennies on the table. Now all of a sudden they've become criminals. When, as you say, you can go just as easily onto federal land to an Indian casino. And so I really believe it's about freedom of choice. But with freedom of choice also comes responsibility. And I believe in education versus legislation. And it's very sad to me, because I'm in the poorest county in the entire state of Arizona with the highest amount of elderly people. And there's very little for them to do. And the bus, the public transit, takes them right to the casino. So they get their check, their Social Security check or their pension check or whatever it may be, and they're practically driven right there to just blow their money away. And we need more people who are concerned about the ramifications of that to step up themselves and get involved in programs to help people with any kind of addiction. I don't care if it's gambling. I don't care if it's drugs. I don't care if it's overeating. It's not the state's place to mandate those things. It's the people who find that to be a burning issue for them. It is their job to step up and commit their own time and energy to education and to helping their fellow man. Because it just seems so ridiculous to me that you can do it one way, but you can't do it another. Well, that's not really equal treatment under the law, is it, Luca?
No. On top, it really disturbs me, the idea. After I worked and I already pay the income taxes and all the taxes they want, and these are really my money. At the end of the day, this is supposed to be my freaking money. If I want to go out and blast them at a casino, it's my damn business. And I hate when I have these politicians, trying to dress up like these moral high men or women. They tell me what I should do with my life, with my money. It's none of your damn business. Seriously. And I tell you already a name here, and I have no problem, because I had him on the show, and I hope he wants to come back, and I'll tell him twice. Mosley, you're an hypocrite. Seriously.
Absolutely.
You're running for office. You tell me that I shouldn't spend the money in the casino. At least it's against the morals and it's the function of government to protect me from my own decisions. At the same time, you work as what does he do exactly? This guy, remind me 1 second, please.
He's an independent stock trader with Ameritrade. He's more than happy to gamble your money for you.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter whether he wins or loses it, he still gets a cut.
Exactly. So I'm behind this word. Mosley, I call you again. You're an hypocrite. And come back on the show if you want to. I love you. I love that you come on the show. I don't love you, okay? Anyway, these are the type of... And I say, I don't even hate him. This is just for me politics. I hate the idea to have somebody that thinks really that is invested of this high moral, let's say, almost high power to come down to Phoenix and tell me how to lead my life and how I can spend my money. That's disgusting. And then you tell me that you're a conservative Republican for individual freedoms. Double hypocrite. Double. But
absolutely, Luke, because he says he's a constitutional conservative, and he is a complete hypocrite. I think I said on the the clean elections debate, he was an establishment bootlicker. And really,
Good.
I think that that's a pretty good description of what he is. He's not a real conservative. He's certainly not a real constitutionalist. And he's made no excuses about the fact that he has a certain moral code that he lives by because of his religious beliefs. And I firmly believe that he will legislate from that perspective, and being against gambling is part of that. And I don't disrespect him for his personal beliefs. I just don't want him to impose them on me or you or anyone else. My beliefs are my own, and I'm not looking to impose them on anybody. I would rather have people have freedom and personal responsibility and the right to suffer the consequences of their own actions so that they learn from those consequences. And when you know better, you do better. And hopefully there will be a support system in the community to help pick people up when they make bad decisions.
Exactly. And as I said, Mosley, come on the show again if you want. I know that you have blocked me lately, but that's okay. You don't like to listen probably the facts. Now, talking about Mosley, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm just trying to bring facts, okay? Because this is, for me, is a very important issue. If we're talking about freedom, the last thing I want is that some wannabe politician with a big ego and invested by this high moral authority that thinks he's doing God's job to tell me how to live my life and to judge me. For example, one thing he told me about it, about my personal life, that, by the way, he doesn't even know what really my personal life, because not many people knows about my personal life. But I heard something that was on public. Let's focus on you since you're running. I'm not running for anything.
Sure.
Did he tell you something about, in a debate, something about the fact that you didn't fulfill some sort of a woman duty?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't during a debate. It was after the meeting of the Arizona Republican Assembly in Lake Havasu.
Mm-hmm.
We stopped to talk in the parking lot, and he asked me why I hadn't fulfilled God's mandate in Genesis to go forth and procreate and have lots and lots of children I couldn't afford to raise.
Wow.
Essentially.
Wait.
And I was very honest with him. I told him, I said, well, God had other plans for me, but in all fairness and in all transparency, I donated eggs to an unfertile couple. And so technically, I guess you could say that I did fulfill my mandate. Look out, California. I think there's a bunch of little me's running around that are going to take you back from the communists.
Wait, Jennifer, before we go there, what you do is none of our business. What is his business to judge you? I'm telling you, I'm losing it right now. I'm losing it now, okay? Whatever God says is not God, and God didn't appoint him as some sort of a judge on planet Earth. What the heck are you telling? This is freaks the hell out of me. It's giving me chills on my back. And I tell you, if this guy has a turban on his head and some beard, I would call him the Taliban. Pretty close. Seriously.
I was surprised. He could have asked me any question on policy.
Yeah.
He could have asked me any question he wanted about the other candidates, since I ran 2 years ago and got 5,236 votes. I was pretty familiar with the race or how it went, and he's never run for political office. He has no experience, no ideas, no knowledge of the issues of this district. He could have asked me any question he wanted, and that was the question he chose to ask. It was very strange.
Yeah, no, I tell you, and I know because I had some conversation too with him after the interview that really, I say, I lost respect for him. How to talk down to people just because you don't fit their model of their belief system or whatever they believe. Give me a freaking break, Mosley. I'm disgusted. And I know this is on the air, and I'm proud of it. Seriously.
That's okay.
Because, this is good.
Luca, when you get elected, you're elected not just by the people that voted for you, but you are elected to represent all of the people in your district, even people that you might not agree with. And you shouldn't really marginalize anybody that you don't know and make value judgments on people with whom you really have no personal experience. Because if you're looking to take this seat, you're a representative of the people. They are the master, and you are the public servant.
Yeah.
And really, you shouldn't disparage or cast judgments on perfect strangers unless we walked literally a mile in their shoes, as they say.
Exactly. I have other friends that are in the same religious group, and I tell you, for example, one was former Senator Karen Johnson. She's a LDS, but she's a great lady. She always really been constitutional, always respecting people's rights and giving people the opportunity and the right to make their own choices when it comes down to personal responsibilities and also beliefs, you know. He's the freak of the freak. Seriously, my opinion is a new level of that scares me out. And I tell you, I don't care if he wins or loses at this point. I still have these beliefs, and nothing's gonna change it. And okay, let's move on. I don't want to talk about Mosley anymore. Otherwise, I need another coffee, and then I need a drink. Forget about the coffee. Oh, by the way, can I drink, Mosley? Can I have a glass of wine, or should I ask you a special permit? By the way, this is insane. You know, the fact that alcohol, you know, it is another of these things that you must almost feel like you're insane. By the way, you know, when you drink alcohol, and I'm talking about drinking in your home. I'm not talking about, you know, drinking and driving. I'm talking about the fact that the idea, this is my body and I should have the right to do whatever I want. Of course, always with the respect of other people's rights. Now, let's talk about a little bit of education. Common Core. And many of my listeners already know what is Common Core, but I want to just give it a short story. You give it a short story. What is Common Core in 2 words, and what is your position about Common Core? Would you continue supporting it? Like, for example, our former state representative, Doris Goodale, bless her soul. I'm so glad she's gone, but she really gave us a big stab in our back when it came down to Common Core. What is your position on Common Core, and give us a little refreshment? What is Common Core?
Well, you said in 2 words. So in 2 words, Common Core is a federal mandate. And I don't have a problem with having educational standards. I have a problem with anyone mandating to the state of Arizona what those standards should be and trying to impose those standards across the nation, because competition in the market is what raises the bar for everyone. I would like to see Common Core eliminated from Arizona. I think it's one of the worst things that we've done to sell out the future of our children. But when you have to test to a specific test, you have to have curriculum that teaches the children to take that test. And someone's making money off of selling that curriculum, and they want to sell it to everyone across the country. And then they'll say, oh, well, that's not good enough. Now we've come up with someone else, because no matter what standard we create, the person that created that standard has now completed their job. They're out of a job. The only new job they have is to create a new standard. I would rather see Arizona engage in a best practices model and compete with other states. And if we can look to another state, I won't name anyone in particular, you could pick one out of thin air, and say, this state has the best test scores in the country. What are they doing right? Or this school, even within Arizona, we have some schools that are overperforming, doing wonderfully, and some schools that are underperforming. Some of them are public schools, some of them are charter schools. We need to be able to look at what's working and actually take those things that are working and implement them in across the board. And some things might work in one area, might not work in another. And that's part of the problem with mandates. Education is not one size fits all for every child, every school, or every state.
Yes, I agree with you on this one too. And as I said, you know, we don't even need to agree on everything. But what I respect, the fact that people are upfront and they are straight. And they really defend their beliefs without, let's say, changing their mind back and forth. That's one of the things I like about you, by the way. Besides that, we agree on many issues, seriously. Because I hate when I have politicians in the past year who are running or looking for office, and they go on the air and they tell me one thing, or at least they say the public one thing, then off the air they say, don't worry, I'm going to do, when I'm elected, I'll do also that. And that was disgusting. And I had, for example, I'm not even trying to, no, seriously, I don't have any type of, this show is not to try to have friends. I'm just trying to bring facts and truth. And that I tell you, I had, what is his name, Schillingrand on the past when he was running for State House a couple of years ago, that he comes on the show and he tells one things about, for example, let's say drugs, let's say marijuana, legalization of marijuana. I said, no, we cannot have that. We cannot have legalization of marijuana. It's bad. At the same time, the guy didn't tell me that he had a DUI. And by the way, all this information is on lovegunsfreedom.com. You can find out there. Not only that, the DUI, that's okay. I mean, that's not good, but everybody can make a mistake. Then off the air, he tells me, by the way, I have friends, a family in Colorado that they are working for the legalization. And once I'm in, I can change that. And I had that all on instant message. And I put that information out on a PDF file because that's exactly what I hate, when people are hypocritical and they're liars. So that's all I care. The first thing I think, honesty is very important, especially when you run for office. This is not your private life. And then, of course, when it comes down to an issue, I wish these politicians understand that they do not own our body. They do not own our money. Now, coming to our body, as I said before many times, I do not do any drugs beside coffee, of course, and wine that can consider drugs too, but always with the respect of others. I drink in my own house, and I drink coffee in a way that I don't snap, so I'm always under control, even I get 5 or 6 coffee a day. But many people enjoy, let's say, and also it's not just medical. I also think they have the right to do it because they enjoy it, period. Like I enjoy drinking a glass of wine, maybe some people enjoy smoking a joint of a plant. After all, is as natural as the grape, okay? And as I said, if you're doing your own property, on your own property, with the respect of others, that means you are not intoxicated and you're paying for that, whatever you're smoking, and the day after you're able to work, you're not collecting, welfare, it's your damn business what you do with your body. That's the bottom line. So I'm all for, let's say, legalization. I even hate the word legalization of a plant. Like God gave us a plant, now it's illegal. Next time could be sage, by the way, people. Any other thing they want, even a grape, like they used to do, the criminalization of alcohol. So what is your position? I know that probably many Republicans, they're never going to go for the word legalization of a plant. But when it comes down to the right of a person in their own privacy, on their own property, to grow a plant like the marijuana for personal use, like tomorrow I have here, for example, I have on my property, I have grapes. And I like to make, get some grapes and maybe make some wine. What is your position on legalization of marijuana, Jennifer Jones?
Okay, well, I'm probably going to part company with most of my Republican associates on this one. But if you don't own your body, then the government owns your body. And I'm going to say the same thing. I'm not looking to get high. I'm really not. But here's the problem with when alcohol is legal and marijuana is not legal, unless, of course, you have a prescription and you're using it for medical reasons. And we know now that it has legitimate medical properties. We also have a lot of studies and evidence that cannabis can cure certain types of cancers. So I can see why the pharmaceutical industry would have a financial incentive to keep it illegal, because it would be in competition with much more expensive treatments and drugs like chemotherapy and things like that. You have to always look at the money. The other issue is it the best and highest use of our law enforcement to be incarcerating and ticketing people when this guy over here, he used it because maybe he has a little social anxiety disorder, or maybe he just had a hard day at work, but he did work. And this guy over here has a prescription for social anxiety disorder. Again, it's arbitrary and capricious, just like having to go to a dispensary because you live within 25 miles of the dispensary as the crow flies, even though you might be disabled and have to drive farther than that out of your way, or find someone to drive you to fill your prescription. Then they say, oh, but you can't grow it at home. But if you're 25 miles away, you can grow it at home. It's become ridiculous layers of government. Prohibition has been a failed policy for as long as mankind has existed.
Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee. Okay, and right now, from prohibition, I think it's a very important topic when it comes down to freedom. I wanted to ask to candidate Jennifer Jones, running for State House Representative seat, District 5, what is exactly the, let's say, I don't know, the feedback that you're receiving from the structure, from the GOP committee, or at least the GOP Central Committee in Mojave County, since you have a very unique positions in several topics, especially when it comes down to legalization of marijuana and also about the idea of personal freedoms. Please, what's going on there? Do they look at you like you are some sort of a creature that they need to spray with holy water, or you got good feedback from them?
Actually, I think the feedback has been very positive overall. You're never going to find anyone running for elected office that you agree with about every single issue all the time. But I get along very well with Dr. Schiff at the Conservative Republican Club of Kingman. I'm a member of the Mojave Republican Forum. That everyone there has been very kind and very gracious and supportive of me. And Nan Nickel, the district director from over in Bullhead City, she can't officially endorse me as a party director, but in her personal capacity, she has said she supports me for the office. And Chairman Ward and his wife Kelly, I get along with them very well. There's a lot of precinct committeemen across this county who support me and who would like to see me elected. And I do realize that you can never please all of the people all of the time. But overall, I would say that I've received pretty much nothing but positive feedback. I will say that there are a couple of people in the party who probably think that I'm too conservative for them. And that would be a couple of ladies who are our former representatives. And I don't think I need to mention their names, but
Okay.
I actually heard this morning that one of them thought that I was a little bit out there, but that's okay. You know,
listen,
she's
talking
gone.
about out there, you're talking to a lunatic here, according to the Dr. Kelly Ward campaign staff. She called me a lunatic, and she was not aware that I was such a lunatic when she came on my show a couple of times. So that's okay. You're in good company. By the way, as I said, I'm not going to... the fact that we don't need to agree on everything, that's fact. And the thing I really would like to thank you for, to have the courage to stand up for your beliefs with no apology. And by the way, I agree with you probably 90%. I don't know anything I disagree so far, besides the fact that you're a friend with Kelly Ward, but that's another story. And don't get me wrong, I have no problems with the person. I wish the best to the Wards as a family, as people. I have a problem with the politicians hungry for power, and when they have a fake smile and they pretty much don't have the strength and the courage to stand by their beliefs. And I'm coming down briefly to the point, weather modification is a reality. Even the CIA director on video just a few days ago talked about geoengineering and weather modification. And Kelly Ward, when was a senator, she did a little funny show at the county, and then immediately she retracted. And she does not believe in weather modification. This is exactly her words on the Havasu newspaper. And the fact that it's true or not, I don't know if she really believes it, but the fact that just because she's trying to play politics, meanwhile, people like us, we are suffering, breathing this garbage, I find it disgusting. But that's my personal thing. That's I said, we don't need to agree on everything, and I'm not gonna keep a grudge against you just because you're a friend with Mr. Ward or Mrs. Ward. That's your problem. But at the same time, as I said, I respect you for what you're doing and for the stances that you're having on these issues, and I really hope the best for you. Now,
Well, thank you, Luca. In politics, you get more done by having friends than enemies.
I agree.
And that's not to say that I'm not willing to make enemies, but it's usually a situation where people make themselves enemies of me. I'm not going out picking fights. I'm not going to go to Phoenix and pick fights and things. And I do agree with Kelly on a lot of things, not everything. But I also think that it's time that we send John McCain home, because I don't know what he stands for other than endless wars. So, it's time we send him home, and I will always take the politician that hasn't screwed me over yet and give them the opportunity, because if they screw me over, I'm going to give somebody else the opportunity. And McCain is the turd in the toilet bowl, and it's time we hit the handle and flushed him and let someone else have the opportunity to do better or do worse. But at least we shouldn't have these career politicians like Sam Medrano and John McCain, who can't seem to get a real job in the private sector.
Yes, you know how I feel about McCain. I was probably, 6 years ago, one of the few Republicans when McCain came to town in Mojave County that I was trying to expose his voting records when everybody was calling me crazy and calling me names, out there me, to try to expose the records of these traitors, member of the Council of Foreign Relations. No, but he's the hero and he's a good Republican, so shut up. How dare you, Republican?
Well, he's not a hero and he's not a good Republican.
I know. But the point, that's why 6 years ago when the majority, even people like Kelly Ward and all the other Republicans that today they are pretty much trying finally to wake up, at the time they were all kissing McCain's butt. That's the point. So I don't want to hear from anybody, if you don't support Kelly Ward, you must support McCain. No, I don't support McCain. I was the first one to also completely expose him. Now, let's move on to another topic because time is running fast. Lately, I've been witnessing in this campaign, not just for, state assembly or other positions, but especially for the county sheriff positions, a lot of evilness, seriously. And as I said on the show, I do not endorse anybody because I don't want to use this radio to push anybody. But in my private life, I do what I like and I support what I want. And then when people ask me, yes, I share you my opinion. At the same time, I need to talk about an event that is unfortunately is becoming more and more public and disturbing. The 4th of July, the morning of 4th of July, I was helping, and I'm not apologetic about it. And as I said, I'm saying this because it's part of the news, not because I'm trying to push for this candidate. I was helping candidate Corey Merriman, running for Mojave County Sheriff, in posting some other signs in Kingman. Okay, 4th of July, a couple hours, kind of warm, but I wanted to help out. And I kept this information private till now. The day after, many of her signs, they were completely removed, illegally removed. In the same location, there were signs of other candidates, and they were left there. So somebody's been tampering with their sign. And the disturbing thing was that, of course, some of the signs, not only they were removed, the posts they were left there empty. And on one post, the sign was replaced by another candidate. By the way, I should have this candidate next week, another candidate for Mojave County Sheriff. So this is very sad because this is just one of the final drops of a long process of retaliation that I really believe it's happening against this candidate. What do you think is happening in Mojave County, especially the sheriff position, one of the most powerful positions to defend our rights in our county? What do you think? What's going on here?
Well, it's absolutely imperative that we have a constitutional sheriff because you're right. It's one of the most powerful positions. Not deputized federal law enforcement official and has great power, maybe some more than some of them realize. I know there's a couple of candidates in the race who understand that, but Mojave County and La Paz County both have a good old boy system. They have a cabal. There's certain people have made alliances with certain other people, and they want one of their friends in that position, and they don't like the outsider. And it's the same in my race. It's no different. I'm facing the same cabal.
I see that.
They want to bring home the special favors for friends or lobbyists or special interests or whatever the case may be, and they don't like the outsider. They don't like anyone who says, I'm not going to treat you differently and treat you special than everyone else. I'm going to treat everyone the same. And so when you're a candidate like that, you're seen oftentimes as a threat to the establishment. And I actually think that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. But the sheriff's race has become especially contentious because it is so powerful. And I really hope that, whatever candidate people vote for, that they really know who they're voting for and don't just listen to a bunch of crazy Facebook posts, because everybody on Facebook thinks they're an expert about everything. And anybody can create a meme or a video, for or against a candidate, but really weigh the decisions and talk to other people who maybe know these candidates. because I've heard good things and bad things about everybody in the race pretty much. And, I don't have a vote in Mojave County because I do live in La Paz County, although I am looking to buy some property up here. Maybe if I'm elected, then it doesn't matter where in the district I live. Right now, I currently live in La Paz County. I vote in La Paz County. I'm a resident of La Paz County. So
Okay.
I don't get a vote for sheriff.
All
but
right.
I hope that everybody in Mojave County, not just in that race, but even in the county supervisors races, there is a good old boy system, and it is time to oust the good old boys, flush the toilet, get rid of the turds, and let somebody else have a chance to do better or hopefully do no worse.
Okay, let me tell you something. I want to have this message for the listeners. I'm really serious about that. And I don't care it just because the signs belong to Corey Merriman. But I know that for sure because I was there. I was helping her out to put the signs out. And I find disturbing the fact that some thugs, this is looks almost out of a third world country, like almost during Mussolini, when the black shirts go out in the night and rip the signs of the competition of other candidates. This is so wrong. I'll donate as a reward. I will match Mr. Ed Mack, already put out $1,000 rewards. And I'll match that $1,000 reward with anybody who will give information that will lead to the prosecution and conviction of the perpetrators who removed illegally and stole the signs of Corey Merriman in Kingman, exactly at the crossroad of Wallapai Mountain and Andy Devine. And another location is also the one in front of the grab and grass, whatever it's called. So there is a lot of things that there are 3 signs that been removed at least illegally. Another one was on Wallapai Mountain. They left the post only. $2,000 reward. You can contact me directly.
Luca,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not just Corey. The other constitutional candidate in the race, John Plow, had a banner on the railing up above Republican headquarters in Bullhead City. And a couple of days ago, someone in the dark of the night went up the stairs and tore his banner off the railing at Republican headquarters and put it in the dumpster.
Wow.
So it's not just Corey. It's a very, very dirty race.
Let's put it this way. Any other candidates who have seen, let's say, any other candidates who had their sign illegal removed, and if you witness that episode, we can arrest and convict that criminal, I want you here. I mean, you don't need to be on the show. You can contact me privately, and you will get a reward. Okay? If we can convict these bastards, I don't care what they're doing to. I don't care if it's for Plow or for Corey or for you. Nobody deserves that. This is still America. It's supposed to be America. We're supposed not to have these fascists go in the middle of the night ripping people's signs off. Okay? So you can contact me at lovegunsfreedom.com, and there is the email there. Now, we have not even a minute. I want to thank you very much. You know what? I'm going to bring you in the second hour if you want. We can talk a little bit about guns. We didn't talk enough about you experienced shooting with me the AR-15. They don't trade on us, the most affordable military-grade AR-15. So I would like to have you in the second part of the second hour for 10 minutes, and we can talk a little bit about that if it's okay for you. All right?
That would be great.
Perfect. Okay, guys. So don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network.